Learning American English the Fun Way, your guide to mastering English through movies. Ever wished you could learn English while relaxing on your couch, perhaps with a bowl of popcorn in hand? The good news is, this isn't just a dream, it's a highly effective and enjoyable way to boost your language skills. This guide explores the exciting world of learning American English through popular movies, a method that offers numerous advantages over traditional study. Forget dry grammar books and repetitive exercises. Movies provide engaging content, expose you to natural language as it's really spoken, and offer invaluable real-world context. To illustrate this powerful technique, we will focus on the beloved animated classic, Toy Story, a fantastic choice for English learners at the B1 level. Learning English through movies offers a refreshing alternative to conventional methods. Instead of passively memorizing vocabulary lists, learners encounter new words and phrases within a captivating narrative. This makes the learning process more memorable and less tedious. Furthermore, movies showcase how native speakers naturally converse, including the use of idioms, slang, and informal expressions that are often absent in textbooks. This exposure to authentic dialogue helps learners develop a better ear for the rhythm and flow of the English language. Beyond just words, movies provide a rich tapestry of cultural information, nonverbal cues like body language, and situational context. Understanding these elements is crucial for effective communication and allows learners to grasp the subtle nuances of the language. For our exploration, we've selected Toy Story. This animated film is consistently recommended for beginner and intermediate English learners due to its relatively simple vocabulary, clear American English pronunciation, and engaging storyline that appeals to a wide audience. The language used in Toy Story often reflects everyday conversations, making it particularly beneficial for learners aiming to improve their practical communication skills. Animated movies in general tend to employ simpler sentence structures and vocabulary, making them more accessible for those at the B1 level of English proficiency. Now, let's roll the tape and delve into a specific scene from Toy Story to see how this learning method works in practice. Let's take a look at the very beginning of Toy Story. The opening scene shows Andy, a young boy in his room, using his imagination to play with his favorite toys, Mr. Potato Head and Woody. Through Andy's play, we hear the toys talking. Let's pause at a few key moments to examine the language used. At one point, Andy, acting as Mr. Potato Head, declares, "All right, everyone, this is a stick-up, don't anybody move. Now empty that safe." The word "all right" here is a common informal way of saying, "Okay." The phrase stick-up is an important piece of vocabulary, meaning a robbery, often of a bank or store. For example, one might hear on the news there was a stick-up at the bank downtown this morning. The command, "Don't anybody move," demonstrates the negative imperative form, instructing everyone to remain still. A similar way to say this would be "nobody move." Finally, empty that safe uses the imperative verb empty, meaning to take everything out of the safe, which is a strongbox used to protect valuable items. This short line introduces action-oriented vocabulary and a fundamental grammatical structure used for giving commands. In the same scene, Andy, now voicing the character Bo Peep, exclaims, "Stop it! Stop it! You mean old potato? Stop it!" Is a simple and direct command used to tell someone to cease an action. The word mean in this context means unkind or cruel. For instance, it wasn't nice to call him mean names. Calling Mr. Potato Head an old potato is a playful insult in this imaginative scenario. This brief utterance showcases basic descriptive language and a common interjection used to express annoyance or disapproval. Later in the scene, Andy, as Woody, the cowboy, says the classic line, "Reach for the sky." This is a well-known phrase, particularly in Western movies, used when someone is being held up at gunpoint. It literally means to raise your hands high above your head. This phrase is a culturally significant idiom that learners might encounter in various contexts, like, "Don't anybody move?" It is another example of the imperative form. Understanding how these words and phrases are used within the context of the movie scene is just the first step. To truly master them, it's helpful to see how they function in everyday conversations. For example, if you are warning someone about potential danger, you might say, "There have been some stick-ups in this neighborhood recently, so be careful when you're walking alone at night." If someone is behaving unkindly, you could tell them, "Don't be mean to your classmates." And while you might not often tell someone to reach for the sky in a literal sense, you could use it metaphorically to encourage ambition, like saying to a friend, "Always reach for the sky, and don't let anyone tell you what you can't achieve." Now that we've broken down some key vocabulary and grammar from the scene, let's focus on a short exchange of dialogue to understand how these elements come together in conversation. Consider this brief interaction from the same opening scene. "Andy Doohoo, how'd you know it was me?" Andy, are you going to come quietly? Andy, you can't touch me, Sheriff. I brought my attack dog with a built-in force field. The first utterance, "doo-oo, how'd you know it was me?" begins with "doo-oo," an expression of surprise, often used humorously. How'd is a common contraction of how did. The rest of the sentence, "you know it was me," is a straightforward question expressing surprise at being identified. When speaking this, the intonation would typically rise at the end, indicating a question. Woody's response, "Are you gonna come quietly?" Uses gonna, which is a very common and informal contraction of going to. Come quietly means to go without making noise or resistance. This is a typical question asked by law enforcement in movies. In everyday speech, people frequently use gonna instead of going to for future actions. The intonation for this, yes, no question, would also rise at the end. The final line in this exchange, "You can't touch me, Sheriff. I brought my attack dog with a built-in force field," showcases the negative form can't, a contraction of cannot. Touch in this context means to make physical contact. An attack dog is a dog trained to be aggressive and attack. A built-in force field is a fictional protective barrier. Notice the exclamatory tone conveyed through the exclamation mark, indicating excitement and defiance. The word sheriff would be pronounced with emphasis on the first syllable, and the R sound is pronounced clearly in American English. To truly benefit from this analysis, it's important to actively engage with the material. Try saying these lines aloud, focusing on the pronunciation of each word and the intonation of each sentence, even if it feels a little strange at first. Practicing these dialogues will significantly improve your speaking skills and build confidence. You can even try to mimic the American accents used in the movie to further enhance your pronunciation. Understanding vocabulary and analyzing dialogue are crucial steps, but putting that knowledge into practice is what truly solidifies learning. Another helpful activity is to write a short summary of the scene in your own words. Describe what is happening and who is speaking. This tests your comprehension and your ability to express that understanding in English. Finally, the most interactive activity is to act out the dialogue. Try reading the lines of Andy as Mr. Potato Head and Andy as Woody. Focus on your pronunciation and try to capture the emotion in their voices. You can do this by yourself or with a friend who is also learning English. This active engagement will make the learning process more dynamic and memorable. By engaging in these types of practice activities, you move beyond passive listening and actively participate in the learning process, leading to a deeper and more lasting understanding of the English language. In conclusion, learning English through popular movies like Toy Story offers a fun, engaging, and effective way to improve your language skills. We've seen how breaking down a single scene can introduce you to new vocabulary, clarify grammatical structures, and provide insights into natural dialogue. Remember, the B1 level signifies an independent user of the language, capable of understanding the main points of clear standard input on familiar matters. Engaging with movies in this way directly contributes to achieving this level of proficiency.